Page 45, study in C. Op 117, no 12. That is Opus. Opus 117, number 12. The Opus series is just the way publishers use keeping track of pieces that they publish from a composer. The number 12 simply means there's at least 12 different pieces in this opus. There could be more, I don't know. Study in C is similar to an etude. An etude is a study. C is referring to C major. This piece is in C major. At the beginning you see it is in 2/4 time. We're only having to count to 2, but we got all these eighth notes to deal with. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and on all that junk. Starting with the right hand. First line's not bad. You're up here in this position for the most part. If you know the C major scale, this is going to be a piece of cake. The second line, take a look. They've got a C and an F sharp, and then a B and a G. Well, I think most of the time a better fingering for you would be to put the 2 on the C. So it's a 2/4. So you can connect both notes. The last line is just like the first line, it's no big deal. In the left hand, they don't tell you, but to start with, I suggest you use a 3-1. A 3 on the C, a 1 on the E. Because that fits for the rest of the line. You're not in a 5-finger position, but you don't need to be. Then for the last 2 beats of the first line in the left hand, they have a 5-4-1 is good. Then I recommend a 3-2. Okay. They're saying a 3-1. It's okay, but I prefer a 3-2 to me. Hands spread out a little more, but you need to get used to this spreading it out. Comes in handy, especially with arpeggios. And again, the last line's like the first, not a problem. There are repeat signs, so we're going to play the first line twice, and then we're going to play the last 2 lines twice, because there's a reverse repeat sign at the beginning of the second line. Now the dynamics, I'm not actually going to do them. You can do them, but I'll talk about them just a little bit. You're starting out with an MF, which is a medium loud or moderate loud. I don't know how loud that is, you decide. Then for the last 4 measures, you have a crescendo followed by a piano, and that's backwards because a crescendo gets louder. So what do? Do you start really super duper soft and crescendo to a soft, or are you starting wherever you're at, getting louder up to at least a loud, and then suddenly getting soft? And the answer is the second one. You are getting louder, and then suddenly you're coming way down to a soft. It's all of a sudden it's just soft. Now, to help the crescendo out, it helps to start it a little softer than where you are, so you got room to grow. It brings it out more if you do that. So if I'm playing the first part of this, and we're referring to the right hand on these dynamic, that's the melody. If that's my medium loud, then when I get to the last 4 measures where that crescendo starts, I'm going to come down a little bit so I can go up as a... So I got room to go up. After that, the last 2 measures, then suddenly it's soft. So to do the first line is more or less like that. And that takes a little bit of practice to get the hang of that, but it helps to develop the control over your fingers of what you're doing. So by all means, add the dynamics. Also, it's not quite so boring to listen to. Now in the second line, now you're loud. Again, we're talking about the melody. In this case, it's in the left hand. And this is going to be a little louder than the first line. But when I get to the crescendo over there for the last 4 measures, I must bring it down and start a little softer so I got room to grow. So it's this way. Oh, and then the last 2 measures, that dim means get softer. Diminuendo means die away. So it's like the arrow going the other direction, sort of. you start the third line, you're loud, and we're talking right hand loud. So that left hand note, that first one can be soft because you're finishing up your line from before. But the right hand is going to be loud right off the bat. If I play the last two measures of the second line going into the third line, it's this. See, so the left hand's really soft, but the right hand's loud because it's a different voice. It's doing its thing. Then in the last line on the second and third measure, when the left hand plays, you can play those up a little louder. You don't have to keep them soft. The soft is referring to the melody, and you're not melody anymore. The melody's in the right hand. As the right hand is playing loud, you can play these louder than soft. And then, of course, you got the crescendo up, and then suddenly you're soft, and you finish it. That last measure, the first and third lines, is one quarter note and one quarter rest, and we want to hear them both. So don't hold the quarter note out longer than one beat. I'm going to take this really, really slow. I put the metronome on 60, but that's quarter notes. So your eighth notes are going to go twice that fast. So I'm going to give us 2 counts, and let's play this together. Right hand is starting up here in C position. Left hand is going to start here. Sort of an A position, I guess. I don't know. Here we go. Ready and go. And. Repeat. Rest. Repeat. Rest. This piece is labeled moderato. I doubt it was labeled moderato by the composer. I don't think the composer said anything. Moderato is kind of a moderate speed. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Not real fast, not real slow, about 1, 2, 2. So I think it would go something like this.